If you won't give me money, then hand over that banking card. I'll use it. Hey, wait a minute. Ignoring my protests, my eldest son's wife barged into my room. She rummaged around, trying to steal the banking card where I saved the money, sent to me by an anonymous person. Her outrageous behavior left me dumbfounded. My name is Rosie. I'm a working mother in my 50s, still holding my own against the younger crowd. I've reached a decent position at work now, but I've been at rock bottom before. I became a single mother after divorcing when my kids were young. Countless times I had to miss work because of their sudden fevers. I was lucky to work in a place with many other mothers who understood. Still, I'm forever grateful to the company that patiently employed me. Thanks to them, I raised my children well. My eldest, Christopher, left home for a job, followed by my younger son, Arnold. The end of parenting brought a deep sense of emotion. On my first day alone, I spent the whole night drinking. I thought I'd quickly feel lonely in the quiet house, but surprisingly, I didn't. In fact, I felt exhilarated. I'd always lived with family, at my parents' home before marriage, then with my own family, and with my kids even after the divorce. This was my first time living alone. Why wouldn't I enjoy it to the fullest? I could cook whenever I liked, slack off without anyone complaining. Dinners full of store-bought sides were the best. No worries about being a bit messy or sloppily dressed. No one was watching. Living alone can really spoil you. Just as I was getting used to this heavenly life, it abruptly ended. Christopher, who had been working far away, transferred to a branch here. He asked if he could move in with me. I wouldn't have minded just Christopher, but he got married last year, living with my son's wife. Honestly, I felt a little peace with some distance, but the thought of living with future grandchildren was tempting. I was getting a bit tired of my solitary paradise. Besides, I planned to keep working, so I wouldn't be home much, so I agreed to the arrangement. Living together turned out to be surprisingly peaceful, not too close for comfort. This house, my childhood home, is quite spacious. My parents, who warmly welcomed me back after my divorce, are gone now, but they too lived with their parents here. It's big enough for that. Frankly, it was almost too big for one. With 2 bathrooms, kitchens, and entrances, it's a perfect 2-generation home. I barely see Christopher and his wife, almost forgetting we live together. Though we share a living room. I hardly use it, having a TV and a computer in my room, but I pass through often. One day, remembering I left a magazine in the living room, I walked in to find Christopher's wife, Nicola. "Oh, good evening." "Ah, yes." Let's be honest, I find Nicola a bit difficult. She's not bad, but her aloofness is hard for me. Maybe that's just how young people are with their mother-in-laws these days, but I wish she was a bit more friendly. "Oh, you're watching this drama. It's quite interesting, isn't it?" "Huh? You find this interesting? Rosie, you have bad taste." I mean, she was just watching it. Yet as soon as I praised it, Nicola changed the channel. The conversation didn't continue, and with Nicola staying silent, I sighed and decided to return to my room early. Living together is exhausting. "Oh, welcome back." As I left the living room, I bumped into Christopher returning home. "You're working late, aren't you?"
"Yeah, it's our busy season right now."
"Is that so for your industry? It's the opposite for us. We're in a slow period."
"Is it because of the recession?"
"Don't say scary things. If that company went under, it would be a big problem. There aren't many companies as flexible as them. I'll do my best to make sure it doesn't go under."
"But you don't need sudden days off like when I was little, right?"
"Well, that's true." I smiled at Christopher, who's grown up so well. "You've really grown. You were weaker than Arnold, but now you're a healthy muscle man."
"Shut up."
Christopher, who used to have frequent fevers, is now the picture of health. He seems hooked on training, never missing gym time even when he works late. "Your arms have gotten so big. Your suits look tight. Carry me on your back if my legs ever get weak in the future."
"Leave it to me."
I was tired from talking with Nicola. but chatting with Christopher has completely refreshed me. Funny how that works. Back in my room, I pick up an envelope instead of flipping through a magazine. It's a registered cash envelope. I found it in the living room earlier. The recipient is me, but it's already been opened. This must be that. I guess Nicola opened it. This isn't the first time this has happened. We have one mailbox for our house. Usually Nicola, the housewife, takes out the mail, as she always opens my mail without permission. I don't check the recipient every time. I realize it after I read the contents. She said, but that's probably a lie, because this registered cash envelope comes every month. However, the sender is unknown. Of course, you can't send registered mail without naming the sender. It's written, but with a bogus address and name. The address is always different, seemingly picked at random from postal codes. The name seems fake too, and it's different every time. It might be a man or a woman. Even the gender is unclear. I can tell from the words written on it that it's an adult. It started suddenly a few years ago, around the time Arnold became an adult. At first, it was creepy, and I even consulted the police, but they didn't take it seriously since there was no harm done. I thought about hiring a detective, but I hesitated, feeling uneasy about going that far. Inside, as always, is $100. Not a huge amount, but not small either. What could the sender's intentions be? It's uncomfortable to use money, thinking there might be some scary motive. So I always keep it. I made a special bank account because I'm worried about keeping cash at home. I take out the banking card from the safe and open it. It's accumulated quite a bit, $100 every month for several years. It's become a significant amount. I go to the living room where Christopher and his wife are drinking while watching TV. I wanted to watch that drama. I sighed at the channel change and speak to Christopher. More money came.
Again? Who's doing this? It's creepy.
Really? Well, I've already reported it to the police, so I'll deposit it in the bank account again tomorrow.
Who could it be?
Christopher tilts his head. Nicola listens to our conversation, seemingly uninterested. Is the money $100 again? Yes, that's right. Only $100? That's too little. Who's the miser? It's inappropriate to talk like that about money being sent, even if we don't know the sender's intentions. Earning $100 is hard, you know? Even though I say this, Nicola just keeps laughing. Nicola, who has never worked or had a part-time job during her student days and has been a housewife since getting married, probably doesn't understand the difficulty of earning money. There's no point in explaining to someone who doesn't understand. I sigh inwardly and return to my room. Really, what could this all be about? It's creepy, but somehow I don't think it's bad money. Maybe that's what you'd call a woman's intuition. But if that's the case, I want to know why. Who are you anyway? Tracing the falsely addressed name with my finger, I murmured. No answer came. The mysterious transfers continued. Around 2 years after starting to live with the Christopher family. Rosie, could you lend me some money? Nicola approached me with this request. It was a paid holiday I had taken from work. During a weekday afternoon, it was rare to have a conversation with Nicola, let alone about such a sad topic. Isn't there something more cheerful to talk about? But then again, she has no income as a housewife. I'm willing to help if needed, but I have the right to know what it's for. Sure, but what do you need it for? It's none of your business, Rosie. Just hurry up and give it to me. I'm only lending it, okay? Disappointed, I took out $50 from my wallet. Huh, just $50? That's so stingy. Well, I don't know what you need it for. How much do you actually need? A parent would easily give out like $1,000. What's the deal with you working and all? Is this some kind of harassment? $1,000 is a lot of money, not something I can just give away easily. I'm really troubled by how different Nicola's view on money is. $1,000? What in the world do you need that for? That's what I've been telling you. It's none of your business. Just forget it. Give me that banking card from the transfers. What? No, that money's origin is unclear. I can't just use it. It's just $100. Such a small amount means nothing, and I need it. Just give it to me. Hey, wait, Nicola. She stormed into my room with heavy footsteps, rummaging through my belongings as if to forcibly take the banking card. Her actions were so unreasonable that I hurriedly grabbed her arm. But, don't get in my way. She pushed me, causing my grip to loosen. I fell to the floor, stunned. There was Nicola, turning all my belongings upside down, desperately looking for the banking card. I was frightened by her overly desperate appearance.
What's all this commotion?
What? To my surprise, it was my son Christopher who should have been at work. And then,
Hey, why is Mom's room such a mess?
Arnold, what are you doing here? My other son Arnold, who lives 30 minutes away by car, also showed up. You guys, what about work? Christopher, who left for work as usual in the morning, and Arnold both in suits. Did you leave early? I was astonished, but the two exchanged serious looks before facing me. Just as I was wondering what it was about, Christopher spoke hesitantly.
Look, we found out who's been sending the money.
What? I exclaimed in surprise. Unnoticed by me, Nicola had turned pale behind me. Who was it? How do you know? Why is Arnold here too?
Calm down. Let us explain from the beginning.
We moved to the living room, facing each other. Nicola tried to leave the room, saying, It's none of my business. But Christopher stopped her.
Nicola, please listen.
Reluctantly, with a visibly displeased face, she sat at the edge of a two-seater sofa, next to Christopher. Arnold and I sat on single-seater sofas.
Let's start with the conclusion. The person sending the money is Dad.
What? Nicola and I both exclaimed in surprise. Casting an awkward glance, Nicola turned her face away as Christopher continued speaking.
Mom, you've always felt uneasy about the unknown source of the money, right? So we pooled our money and hired a detective to investigate.
Both of you? Arnold too?
Without realizing it, you got involved in something bad, so I heard from Christopher, and I said I'd pitch in too.
Oh, is that what happened? Looking surprised at Arnold's face, I saw my smiling son nod. I didn't know. Even though we're far apart, he was worried about me, and that thought warmed my heart. But let's set aside those feelings for now. The unexpected identity of the sender has left me in a state of confusion. But why the ex-husband? It's been over 10 years since I divorced my ex-husband, taking our two sons with me. The reason for our divorce with my now vaguely remembered ex-husband was money. Not exactly an addict, but close to it, he loved gambling. Eventually, he started missing work. He took money from the house without permission, even the money meant for the kids. Naturally, life became difficult. It was hard to work with two young children. He became more unstable when things didn't go well, and that led to our divorce. I have no idea where he is now, or rather, I never needed to know. After all, he never paid child support. He never wanted to see the kids and cut off contact himself. I never had high expectations for him. I managed to raise the kids with hard work, but only with the help of parents. The one person who should have helped the most, my ex-husband, never did, even after the divorce. Why would he send money every month? Why on earth?
We met him today.
What? You went to see him? I'm surprised. You've been quite active without me knowing.
Sorry, I actually took a day off work and went this morning.
I see. And the reason for the money? Thinking $100 would be enough to clear his conscience? Too late for regrets now. That selfish ex-husband. Maybe as he aged, he couldn't keep up appearances. Perhaps even sending a small amount was his way of easing his conscience. He's still selfish.
Not really.
Arnold shook his head at my murmur. What do you mean?
Well, it's true it's a bit late, but the money wasn't just $100.
What? What do you mean? I thought it wasn't about the amount, but it was still small. But Arnold said it wasn't $100.
He's been sending $1,000 every month.
What? I was shocked at the sudden revelation. What? How come I only received $100 in cash? I guess I don't need to be here anymore, do I? I'll step out for a bit. Confused, Nicola suddenly spoke up, as she stood up to leave the room.
Wait.
Christopher grabbed her arm. Let go. I don't need to be a part of this stupid discussion, do I?
You've been taking money from the transfers, haven't you?
What? What do you mean? Nicola was clearly flustered by Christopher's surprising accusation. Stop making things up.
I heard it today when I talked to Dad. He said the transfer was $1,000. There was a lawyer, there was a witness. Dad's representative for the transfers. There's no mistake. It reminded me of how you always opened Mom's mail.
I didn't look at the address.
But you knew Mom was receiving registered cash every month, right? Who opens that?
It was already open. What could I do?
Maybe the first few times, but every month for years?
Nicola stubbornly denied knowing anything. Christopher pressed on. Then Arnold stepped forward.
Here, this.
He handed something over. Nicola turned pale at the sight. What is it? I looked and was speechless. Arnold, is this?
Yeah, photos of Nicola splurging at nightclubs.
Nightclubs?
Nicola was supporting a favorite man.
What? Christopher often goes on business trips. During busy periods, he comes home late. Apparently, Nicola had been frequenting nightclubs during the times Christopher was away. Even though we lived together, it's a two-family home with separate entrances. I wasn't fully aware of Nicola's activities. Ah, maybe that's why you said you needed money earlier. Glancing at Nicola, she was pale as a ghost.
You've been using up most of the salary I worked hard to earn, haven't you? I nearly fainted when I saw the bank card with almost no remaining balance.
I don't know anything about that.
I've had a detective tracking you. I know all about you withdrawing money frequently and visiting nightclubs. We have all the evidence.
How could you have evidence against me already? I just met Dad today. That's strange, isn't it?
It's a separate matter from Dad, remember? I told you about the bank card with almost no balance left. That was a few months ago. Since then, I've had you under surveillance. I trusted that detective to find out who the sender was.
So monitoring Nicola's actions came first, then finding the sender. I'm surprised by my son's unexpected initiative. He's grown up so much. I'm impressed.
Even when your savings hit zero, you didn't stop going to nightclubs, and then you begged Mom for money. You even tried to snatch the bank card from her, pushing her away. That's practically robbery.
I didn't mean to.
I can't go on like this with you. I want a divorce.
Wait, it was just a momentary lapse. Nightclubs are just for fun. I'll stop. Nicola panicked at the sudden announcement of divorce, but Christopher looked at her coldly.
You say it's just fun, but you go as far as to hotels.
In front of a shocked Nicola, Christopher presented another photo. It was a picture of a couple entering a hotel. Of course, Nicola and a playboy-like man were in it. That is, well...
Pack your things and get out now.
Wait, I have nowhere to go.
I've informed your parents. Just leave.
Overwhelmed by Christopher's fury, Nicola left crying. Nicola and Christopher eventually divorced officially. The savings she had squandered, along with the embezzled money from the ex-husband's transfers, were repaid in full by the in-laws. Nicola, it seems, is working hard from morning to night under her parents' watchful eyes to repay the money her parents fronted. She has begged Christopher, but he has blocked her calls and cut off all contact. Her parents' home is far from ours, so she can't just show up unannounced. As for me...
That man, he doesn't have much time left.
Arnold told me, referring to him, not his dad, but that man.
We met him at the hospital, in the terminal care ward.
Terminal care ward? So that's what it means. My ex-husband is in his 50s, same as me. In his 50s? Maybe it's divine retribution. Even as I said that, there was no strength in my words. No more hatred. Not sad. No love either. But still, I feel a certain emptiness. Trying to atone with these transfers at the last minute. Aiming for heaven, huh? Selfish to the end. Such a selfish man. He made us suffer so much. So selfish. Neglecting us and the home. Utterly selfish. But why am I crying?
Dad, he apologized. Said he felt terrible for what he did to you, Mom. He thought you wouldn't accept the money if he sent it under his real name, so he sent it under a false one,
said Christopher, whose memories with Dad linger.
But that doesn't mean you have to forgive him. I still hate Dad for some part. He made you suffer, Mom. He's the worst. But even I failed in marriage.
That's not your fault. Christopher's shoulders drooping, sat next to me as I continued to cry. I patted his back. Watching us, Arnold muttered,
Maybe it's good to let it all out if you have so many thoughts.
Huh.
We met him today, but couldn't talk much. Let's go together next time, all three of us, and talk it out.
All three of us?
Let's give him a piece of our mind. That'll make him so mad he'll want to keep living.
Really?
Yeah, then we can unleash all the resentment that's built up over the years.
Arnold said this with a smile. Christopher beside him gave a wry smile and nodded. That sounds good, doesn't it? And I too managed a tearful smile.